First of all, I'd like to introduce Joey with me first in Gimme Gimmes. If you'd like to introduce yourself a little bit more, what you do in the band.
Spike says I play the arrhythmic guitar. So, yeah, I guess that's my job. I sing a little bit. I keep it real.
So
and I also vertically challenge the band, you know.
Yeah, I've noticed
I make sure that we don't look too...
Everyone's a little bit too tall for
too big, yeah, there's some tall people over on that side of the stage. But it's funny, I'm the smallest guy in the band, and they gave me all of the stage right. You know what I mean? Bass player and the other guitar player over there on the other side of the singer, and Jay Bentley's, you know, even maybe as tall as, you know, well, I don't know, any of the tall people, but he's quite tall. And then there's this little tiny guy over like 15 feet, well, not tonight.
Limo came over to us and he was pretty intimidating. I think the American accent as well got to us overseas.
How about those teeth?
Don't tell him I said that.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
He's a big dude, yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, and first question is, was there a plan for me first in the Gimme Gimmes, or was it something that just happened?
I mean, honestly, and I always say this, but it's actually kind of cool. We started the band really because we wanted to have a band that could play in the pubs, you know, for just our friends, and we could just get, you know, pissed and just have a good time with our friends in local kind of punk, you know, pubs / venues, and that was really it. Let's just do this thing. It'll be super fun, and it was great because, you know, all of our bands had always had there was always a rule that you can only play all ages venues. You know, you couldn't take these gigs that weren't, because well, it just kind of goes against everything you came from and what you're trying to do. So we never played any venues that were you know, whatever the legal drinking age was and up. And so this was kind of a way to let's get that little antithesis in our lives, you know. And then we made a couple 7-inches. I think Mike at some point said, well, let's record a couple 7-inches, and then we kept trying to make nothing happen or come of it by doing things like we'll give the 7-inches to different little indie labels that, you know, they'll just take a 7-inch because of the guys that are in the band. And I don't know. Somehow the people bought the music, and then now I'm just fucking stuck here.
It can't be all bad though.
Oh, it's just
so basically
cover band that makes more money than my real band. Because, you know.
So basically you formed it with the insight of getting everyone involved. You know, so everyone to have a party at the same time, whether you're 14 years old or whether you're 45 years old.
Yeah, and just to hang out with our friends, you know. I think there's a certain amount of times that you play your hometown, and, you know, I'm 47 years old, so it wasn't all that long ago and I was already old enough that a lot of my friends were kind of over, you know, going to the shows, and you drag them out. It's a lot easier to get your friends to come out if it's an adult situation, you know.
How many kids when you're around?
Yeah, and just I don't know. It's just like they don't want to deal with all that. So when we started doing that, it really was for that purpose, you know, just to play for our peers.
You guys, you're a super group. There's no way to go around it.
I mean, on paper.
Yeah. Well, and to a lot of people around the world, then you guys are like big dudes come together to do something really special, like make people party.
Well,
but,
thank you. Yeah,
but
I'm going to try to look at it that way.
Who would be in your dream supergroup? Could be anybody from any era, dead or alive.
Dead or alive, well, that's a question.
But you've been asked it hundreds of thousands of times.
Such an impossible question. I mean, because the problem is, then you start going over, okay, I get Lennon and Elliott Smith, and I start thinking about those people, you know, maybe Paul Simon would be in the band, or, you know, got to get a Beatle, you know, got to get a blah, blah, blah. And then me, because... Well, because I'm insane, I think. I start thinking, but how would they work together? Would the chemistry be good? You know, and then Jimi Hendrix couldn't be in a band with, you know, because he's a racist, and that guy. Yeah, I don't know.
What was it?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All those guys.
So everyone basically.
And John Bonham.
Bonham.
Keith Moon.
Keith Moon.
It would be Keith Moon for sure.
That'd be too much party though for one band.
God, then maybe John Entwistle though, you know? But then it's like, it's the Who. would be pretty cool.
Just have the Who as a supergroup.
Yeah.
There you go. So it.
Just get the two living guys out of the way. Take those two guys. Oh, wait a minute. What am I saying? I would be in the band.
Yeah, you'd have to be. You'd want to play in the
I
band.
can't believe I've answered that kind of question so many times and never said that I would be in the band. That's the whole, yeah. I want to be in a band with those guys.
With loads of dead people.
Yes. I've been watching The Walking Dead.
Oh man, don't even get me started on that, man. Being a student, that's all you get to do nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've covered pretty much every genre, like R. Kelly to, like you said, Boy George. But is there anyone you think is uncoverable?
I think that anything without real melody, and there's quite a lot of music like that.
We won't ask you to name drop anyone.
Well, it's. I mean, you can't really. It's kind of. You can't really do metal. A lot of the metal stuff, even the screamy melodic stuff, doesn't work. It's kind of hard to do things that have time signatures that don't really translate to the.
So
1, 2, 1, 2. So like the funky stuff,
yeah.
Especially like old funk stuff. A lot of that's really difficult to make work because we're pretty white. And hey, back to the race thing. All right, there's a lot that doesn't work, and we've actually had quite a few songs that have not made the cut, that have failed. They've been on the list when we're sitting there going through the songs. But admittedly, we give each thing like 30 seconds. I mean, literally, we get in a room, we have a list, somebody presses play, kind of figure out the chords, and then we go, and then somebody will say, nah, and it's like the next song.
Fair enough.
And sometimes I'm like, no, wait, this is going to be great, hold on.
So we do have a bottomless pit of music to choose from.
Yeah.
What would your top 3 tips for surviving on tour, but literally not dying on tour, what would they be? Other than that green goop
don't
thing,
climb out the hatch on top of the bus while on the Autobahn.
Autobahn.
Freeway, whatever, highway, whatever we're going to call it. Don't go dance on top of the bus when there are bridges in the world. That's a good one. I'm just speaking from experience. Don't climb into a very large trash compactor to sleep. That's a really bad idea.
And what about you?
Those are my top 2 keep me awake at night mistakes. Yeah. I
don't know where to go from that, sleep in the trash compactor.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat it.
What about just the chemistry between the band? Is there anything, like, do you hang out all the time together, or do you sort of go off and do your own thing and come together on stage and hang out afterwards? Or, because I imagine if you're trapped on a bus with 10 other guys for 6 weeks at a time, it can get a little bit tense, or it can be a great time. But what would you say is the best way to keep the chemistry good and keep everyone happy?
It's kind of a bad thing to say in a way, because obviously a lot of people develop serious issues with these things, but it doesn't help. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a few drinks, because there's a lot of tension on tour. So like the guys in my band, Lagwagon, the other band, the not so serious band, we'll get pissed on some of those all-night drives together and everything, and it kind of keeps everybody it gets rid of a little bit of the tension. So that's kind of nice. And there's sober people in all the bands that I'm in, but that never really hurts, just to have a little bit of a party together. You don't have to be drunk to do that. The other thing is, time, getting past all the little things. I mean, I think that there's a lot of pitfalls along the way, and it's very, very easy to get really hung up on something, of one fight you had with somebody, one difference in beliefs, and just these small things that surprisingly enough will go away if you allow them to.
Life's too short to keep a grudge.
Yeah, it really is very true. You just and then the more time you spend with anybody, there are people that I travel with, not in this band, but there are people in my other band that admittedly, I look at them, and I'm sure that they look at me, and I'm almost 100% certain that we never would have been friends. But they're family to me, and they're some of my closest friends now because we've been together for, so many years. And there's all sorts of things that people will do that bother you, little things, idiosyncrasies that everyone has, and we develop more and more of them on the road too. So it's a bit like a marriage or any family. And more bands, I think a lot of bands would last a lot longer and have a much deeper, more rewarding career if they could just be a little more patient.
Get along with each other.
Yeah.
What's the greatest thing that you've experienced being in a band or touring with a band? Say, for example, you've gone on a tour with friends, but what's the greatest thing that you've experienced?
Oh my gosh.
Really
putting it to me, man.
Deep questions here.
Well, traveling. Yeah, travel.
Just being around
Just
the world.
culture. Yeah.
Experience.
Food. I love food. I'm going to be a pear-shaped man pretty soon. It's starting to happen already. Yeah, no, definitely travel and food. It's one thing when you do it a few times and, everything's sort of quick. You go to a town, you basically go into the venue, and maybe if you're lucky you get to go have dinner or something. But you do it long enough, collectively, there's a day off here and there. Eventually you've had a day off in almost every town, that you can think of. Or you could, if you can get to a level where you're traveling and you arrive in the morning, hey buddy, hi, that's Jay. Sorry, I could have commandeered I'm taking over the
It's a party room.
Pinky his brains.
Yeah, we're close. Nicorette. This is my nicotine coming here. Yeah, that's it. The travel.
So you say make the most of every stop you have.
Yeah, and
people.
and we eventually, that's what I was going to say, we got to a point where we would arrive in the morning in town, so we'd actually have the whole day, just making an effort to actually get up and walk.
So don't party too hard enough.
Yeah, I do it anyway though. I mean, it just doesn't matter. I feel better if you get a good walk, and yeah, that's it for sure.
Okay. I won't keep it too long. I'll ask you one last question.
Okay.
What's the, it's a sort of a double question, what's the worst and the best show that you've had with the first thing in Gimmes?
Oh, so many bad ones. And they're all good. Well, the funny thing is I didn't even really listen to the end of the question, the Gimmes. I mean, they qualify as good and bad when they're the opposite. You know what I'm saying? The worst shows are, by definition, the best stories. So it's funny, let's see. Let me think about that. I can only think about my other band. It's been through a lot more than this band. It's always been pretty easy for these guys.
You said the worst show you played full stop or had, and the best show you played full stop. Keep it simple. Try to narrow it down.
Oh, it's just. It's literally. I have show after show after show running through my mind right now, and there's so many bad ones. Like everything you can imagine that could happen at a show has happened to me, for sure. Except for I haven't been shot yet.
Yes.
That one yet. Yeah. Maybe tonight. Yeah. No. Well, I mean, we've had shows where the ceiling came down, the whole club just came down on top of us while we were playing. I don't know. We've been arrested. We're playing. I mean, hey, everything's happened. The Gimmes, it's much more. It's kind of boring. They're all good, the Gimme shows. They're all easy. It's fun. It's a positive atmosphere.
Good party vibes.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you very much for your time, man.
Pleasure.
And have good luck tonight.
All right.